The Galactic Council of Peaceful Species had exactly one rule regarding Earth: don't poke the nest. It wasn't that humans were evil per se. They were just problematic. The kind of species that evolved on a planet so absurdly dangerous that they considered deadly neurotoxins spicy food seasonings. The kind that recreationally jumped out of perfectly functional aircraft. The kind that looked at the concept of nuclear fission and thought, wow, this would make a great bomb. So when Ambassador Thalion of the Lumerians suggested contacting Earth, the council chamber erupted in a chorus of horrified gasps, nervous tentacle wringing, and what could only be described as alien pearl clutching. We have no choice, Thalion's hologram flickered as the transmission struggled to maintain stability. The Vex Collective has already destroyed 3 of our colony worlds. They're eating our children. The Grand Arbiter, a gelatinous mass of neural tissue floating in a tank of nutritive fluid, burbled thoughtfully. But humans. Their planet is classified as Deathworld Category 5. They evolved alongside apex predators, survived 6 extinction events, and their entertainment involves watching each other engage in ritualized combat. Exactly, Thalion's large, luminescent eyes blinked rapidly. We need predators of our own. And that's how Captain Jack Havoc Harper, commanding officer of the Earth vessel Reasonable Force, found himself staring at an alien distress call on a Tuesday morning. "You've got to be kidding me," Harper muttered, running a hand through his prematurely graying hair. "They're calling us? The same folks who refused our application to the Galactic Council 7 times because we're too aggressive?" The ship's AI, Lucy, manifested as a small hologram beside him. "It appears desperation has overcome their principles, Captain. Also, in tow, the requirement for immediate assistance might be related to the fleet of hostile vessels currently converting their population into what their message describes as gourmet delicacies." Harper sighed deeply. "Well, I guess we'd better go rescue the pompous glowing jellies. Alert the crew, looks like we're making first contact and first combat simultaneously." Earth's reputation as a death world wasn't undeserved. Any planet where the dominant species considers caffeine, alcohol, and capsaicin fun was bound to produce individuals with a somewhat skewed perspective on danger. The Lumerians were about to discover exactly what that meant. The crew of the Reasonable Force wasn't what most alien species would expect from humanity's representatives. They weren't the best and brightest, they were the ones crazy enough to volunteer for deep space missions with a high probability of encountering hostile life forms. Captain Jack Harper had been a decorated Special Forces operative before an incident involving an admiral's daughter, 3 stolen hover tanks, and what military records vaguely referred to as the Flamingo situation got him reassigned to space exploration. His service record alternated between commendations for bravery and disciplinary notes for excessive creativity in interpreting orders. "So let me get this straight," Harper addressed his senior officers in the briefing room. "Some bioluminescent pacifists who once called us evolutionary aberrations now want our help because something bigger and meaner is eating them?" Tech Officer Mika Glitch Rodriguez nodded enthusiastically, her fingers manipulating holographic displays faster than the human eye could follow. Rodriguez had been Earth's youngest quantum engineering prodigy until an experiment gone wrong accidentally teleported her cat into the president's secure bunker. Her solutions to technical problems were brilliant, if somewhat terrifying in their disregard for conventional physics. "The Lumerians are basically space jellyfish that evolved consciousness," she explained. "Their technology is amazing but entirely defensive. They've never needed weapons." Lieutenant Commander Dax Blackwood, the ship's tactical officer and nominal diplomat, snorted. A mountain of a man with dark skin and piercing eyes, Blackwood had originally been destined for diplomatic service until it became clear his idea of negotiation involved creative threats. "So they're basically floating light bulbs with pH.D.S, Blackwood summarized. "And they're being hunted by something called the Vex Collective. Sounds charming." Lucy's hologram expanded, displaying footage transmitted by the Lumerians. "The Vex are a hive mind predatory species. They consume other sentient beings to incorporate their knowledge and biological traits. They consider the Lumerians a delicacy due to their bioluminescent properties." The footage showed creatures resembling skeletal mantises tearing apart glowing, jellyfish-like beings. Small Lumerian children floated helplessly as they were rounded up into containment fields. Harper's expression hardened. Lucy, set course for the Lumerian homeworld, maximum speed. Rodriguez, I want options for retrofitting our defensive systems for offensive capability. Blackwood, prepare a diplomatic package explaining why the Vex are about to have a very bad day. Our chances of successfully engaging a technologically superior enemy force are approximately. Lucy began. Harper cut her off. Never tell me the odds, Lucy. I was going to say negligible without a completely insane plan, Captain. Harper grinned. The kind of grin that had made his drill instructors nervous. Well then, it's a good thing insane plans are our specialty. The reasonable force dropped out of FTL on the edge of the Lumerian system, and Harper immediately understood why the peaceful aliens had resorted to calling Earth. The destruction was beyond comprehensive. Its orbital habitats had been shattered, their glowing fragments forming a morbid, beautiful debris field. One of the system's planets showed evidence of ongoing invasion. Detecting a small Lumerian vessel approaching, Lucy announced, "They're hailing us." Ambassador Thalion materialized on the bridge's view screen. In person, well, in hologram the Lumerian was more jellyfish than humanoid, a translucent body pulsing with complex patterns of blue-green light, tentacle-like appendages gently undulating beneath. Large, expressive eyes dominated what might generously be called a face. "Thank the luminous ancestors you've come." Thalion's voice was melodic, almost chime-like. "The Vex Collective has already consumed 3 billion of my people." Harper leaned forward. "We received your distress call. Ambassador, we're here to help." "Your assistance is appreciated, though unexpected," Thalion admitted. "Your species has a rather concerning reputation in galactic circles." Blackwood barked a laugh. "You mean the reputation that has you calling us now that you're being eaten?" Thalion's lights flickered in what might have been embarrassment. "The Galactic Council has perhaps been overly cautious regarding humanity." Rodriguez, who had been quietly scanning the Lumerian ship, whistled. "Your energy manipulation technology is incredible. The efficiency ratings are off the charts." "Yes," Thalion's lights pulsed with pride. "We are masters of sustainable energy and defensive systems. Unfortunately, the Vex have adapted to counter all our defenses." "Have you tried?" "I don't know, fighting back?" Blackwood asked. The concept seemed to physically pain Thalion. "Violence is anathema to our evolutionary path. The very notion causes us biological distress. That is why we sought Earth's assistance." Harper studied the tactical displays. "Where are the Vex now?" "They've established processing facilities on our third colony world. They'll return to our homeworld in approximately 30 Earth hours with a harvesting fleet." Harper nodded. "Then we have 30 hours to prepare a welcome party. Ambassador, we'll need access to your technology and manufacturing facilities." "What do you intend to do?" Thalion asked nervously. Harper's smile didn't reach his eyes. "We're going to teach peaceful jellyfish how to wage war." "But that's impossible." Thalion's lights dimmed in distress. "We cannot commit violence. It's physically impossible for us." "Don't worry," Rodriguez said, her eyes gleaming with the unsettling excitement of an engineer with an unlimited budget. "You won't have to. You just need to show us how your tech works, and we'll handle the violence part." "This will not involve nuclear weapons, will it?" Thalion asked hesitantly. "The Council has footage of your historical conflicts." Harper exchanged looks with his crew. "No promises, Ambassador. But we'll try to keep the nuclear option as Plan B." Thalion's lights flickered in what Lucy's translation software identified as existential dread. The Lumerian central habitat was a marvel of engineering, a massive crystalline structure floating in space, housing billions of the bioluminescent aliens. It was a testament to peace, cooperation, and harmony. And Captain Harper was about to turn it into a death trap. "Your energy redirection systems are perfect," Rodriguez explained to a group of increasingly alarmed Lumerian scientists. "You've been using them to harmlessly absorb and redirect incoming attacks. But with minor adjustments, We can turn them into what humans call the biggest freaking laser cannons the galaxy has ever seen. In another section, Blackwood was explaining psychological warfare to bewildered Lumerian communication specialists. Fear, he said, tapping a console to display historical human battle footage, is a weapon. Your problem is you're dealing with predators who think you're just food that hasn't been eaten yet. We need to convince them you're actually poison. One brave Lumerian raised a tentacle. But we are not poison. Deception is. Let me stop you right there, Blackwood interrupted. Does your species have any concept of bluffing? The blank stares answered his question. Meanwhile, Captain Harper and Ambassador Thelian watched as Lucy ran combat simulations. Your current survival probability has increased from 0.003% to 7.4%, Lucy reported cheerfully. Still catastrophically low, but trending in a positive direction. That's not reassuring. Thelian's lights dimmed. Harper shrugged. We work better as underdogs. Now, about these habitat defensive shields, if we reconfigure them to contract rapidly instead of expand. They would create an implosion effect, Thelian realized, lights brightening with understanding before dimming again in horror. But that would be using our life-sustaining technology as a weapon. Exactly, Harper nodded. The best weapons are the ones your enemy doesn't recognize as weapons until it's too late. Back in the engineering section, Rodriguez was gleefully modifying Lumerian energy collectors. These babies normally absorb solar radiation to power your habitats, right? Well, now they're going to absorb solar radiation and focus it into what we Earthlings technically call a death ray. A Lumerian engineer's lights flickered in distress, but that would destabilize our entire power grid. Only temporarily, Rodriguez assured them, and the resulting power surge will just be a bonus explosion. Elsewhere, small groups of Lumerians were tentatively practicing combat maneuvers under Blackwood's guidance. No, 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 he shouted as they gently waved their tentacles. You're not trying to tickle them. At least put some effort into it. We physically cannot perform aggressive movements, a Lumerian explained. Our nervous system prevents it. Blackwood sighed deeply. Fine. Then we'll just have to make your existing movements look terrifying somehow. Lucy, monitoring all these preparations, calculated their odds of success and wisely decided not to share the results with anyone. Some things were better left unsaid, especially when humans were already committed to a course of action. Captain, she said instead, the Vex fleet has changed course. They'll arrive in 10 hours, not 30. Harper didn't miss a beat. Good. I hate waiting. The Vex harvesting fleet emerged from FTL in perfect formation, 12 massive, chitinous vessels resembling skeletal insects, with their hulls adorned with trophies from previous conquests. At their center, a colossal mothership loomed, its surface rippling with organic technology. Magnificent predators, Thelian whispered. Lights dimmed to almost nothing in fear. Megalodons were magnificent predators too, Harper replied, watching the tactical display. Didn't stop them from going extinct. The Vex wasted no time on communication or demands. They simply deployed harvesting vessels and began advancing toward the Lumerian habitat. They're not even scanning for defenses, Blackwood noted with a predatory smile. They don't consider the Lumerians a threat. Their first mistake, Harper nodded. Lucy, initiate Operation Deathworld. Across the massive habitat, systems that had been peaceful for millennia transformed. Solar collectors swiveled, focusing concentrated beams of stellar energy. Shield generators reversed polarity, and communication arrays began broadcasting on frequencies that the Vex used for internal communication. The first Vex harvester exploded without warning as a pinpoint beam of concentrated solar energy sliced through its hull. A second vessel was caught in a rapidly contracting shield bubble that compressed until the ship imploded. On the Vex command frequency, Lucy broadcast a carefully constructed message, a combination of Vex communication signals that Blackwood had reordered to create what was essentially psychological malware. What are they saying? Thelian asked, watching as several Vex ships began firing on each other. Blackwood grinned. Roughly translated, We convinced half their fleet that the other half has been infected by a parasite that mimics Vex biology. The Vex mothership, recognizing the attack, launched a massive counteroffensive. Energy weapons powerful enough to crack a planet's crust fired at the Lumerian habitat. Shields at maximum. Rodriguez called out, her fingers dancing across controls, directing energy to our improvised weapon systems. The habitat absorbed the massive energy attack, its system straining but holding. Then, in a move that defied everything the Vex knew about Lumerian technology, it sent the energy back not in a defensive dispersion, but as concentrated weaponized plasma. 3 more Vex ships disintegrated. The mothership is launching boarding parties, Lucy reported. They've adapted to our energy attacks. Harper nodded. Just as expected. Rodriguez, activate the internal defense grid. As Vex boarding craft latched onto the habitat, they found corridors that should have been filled with helpless prey instead rigged with what humans casually referred to as nasty surprises. A gravity plating reversed, crushing invaders against ceilings. Atmospheric systems vented sections into space. Maintenance robots, reprogrammed by Rodriguez, attacked with improvised weapons. In the command center, Thalian watched in awe and horror. This is war as your species knows it? This? Harper laughed. This is just us being creative on short notice. Real human warfare would have started with much bigger explosions. The Vex mothership, recognizing the threat, began to retreat. Oh no, you don't, Harper growled. Lucy, execute Phase 2. Across the habitat, thousands of modified energy nodes activated simultaneously, creating a massive gravitational distortion that enveloped the retreating Vex fleet. What are you doing? Thalian asked, lights pulsing with alarm. Rodriguez looked up from her console, eyes gleaming with manic engineer energy. Remember how your scientists said it was theoretically possible to create a localized space-time compression field, but it would be too dangerous to ever attempt? Yes, we're attempting it, she said cheerfully. The space around the Vex mothership distorted visibly, compressing into an ever-tightening sphere. Metal and organic material alike crumpled under forces that defied conventional physics. Should we offer them surrender terms? Thalian asked hopefully. Harper, Blackwood, and Rodriguez exchanged looks. These are the guys who were eating your children, Blackwood reminded him. Right, Thalian's lights dimmed. Proceed. The compression field collapsed in on itself with a flash of light that temporarily blinded sensors. When visuals returned, where the Vex mothership had been was nothing but scattered debris. All Vex vessels eliminated, Lucy reported. Though I feel compelled to note that we violated approximately 143 Galactic Council weapons conventions in the process. Harper shrugged. They called us because we're not conventional. Mission accomplished. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in recorded history. Species that normally sent junior representatives dispatched their highest leaders. The council chamber, normally orderly and calm, buzzed with nervous energy. On the central platform, Ambassador Thalian addressed the assembly, his luminescence bright with confidence he hadn't possessed before. The Vex Collective, which threatened to consume us all, has been defeated, he announced, and we have humanity to thank. Nervous murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Grand Arbiter's tank bubbled anxiously. Reports indicate that human modifications to Lumerian technology created weapons that violated 74 Council prohibitions. Their tactics were disturbing. Captain Harper, standing beside Thalian, stepped forward. With all due respect, what's disturbing is that you let the Vex consume 3 billion Lumerians before someone thought to call us. The humans turned our peaceful habitat into a weapon, Thalian explained. They taught us that sometimes survival requires adaptation. But at what cost? Asked a representative from the Zoltan Harmonies, their crystalline form vibrating with concern. The humans used gravitational distortion as a weapon. Such technology is forbidden for good reason. Rodriguez, who couldn't resist attending when advanced technology was being discussed, chimed in. Actually, we just repurposed existing Lumerian technology. Everything we used, you all already had, we just thought of it differently. That silenced the chamber more effectively than any gavel could have. The Grand Arbiter finally spoke again. This council has perhaps been overly dismissive of Earth's application for membership. You think? Blackwood muttered under his breath. The classification of Earth as a Death World Category 5 was accurate. The Arbiter continued, but our interpretation was flawed. We feared the evolutionary traits that allowed humans to survive such an environment would make them dangerous to galactic peace. And now? Harper asked. Now we understand those same traits make them valuable protectors when faced with predators like the Vex, the Arbiter concluded. The Council formally extends an invitation for Earth to join as a full member. Later, aboard the Reasonable Force, the crew celebrated with what Rodriguez insisted was purely medicinal alcohol she'd synthesized in her lab. So we're respectable now, Harper mused, sipping the dangerously blue liquid, a part of the galactic community. God help them. Blackwood laughed. Lucy's hologram appeared, holding a virtual glass. Actually, preliminary data suggests 17 previously unknown hostile species have altered their expansion trajectories to avoid human-protected space. See? Rodriguez grinned. Our reputation precedes us. Harper raised his glass. To humanity terrifying enough to scare off the monsters, just civilized enough not to become them. As the Reasonable Force prepared to return to Earth with news of their new galactic status, word was already spreading through the stars. The species from the Death World had emerged, and they fought with fire and fury. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and perhaps a little insane, but when the gentle Lumerians had faced extinction, humans had responded. The galaxy was learning an important lesson. In the grand cosmic ecosystem, every predator eventually meets a more efficient predator. And sometimes that predator comes from a little blue planet where everything evolved to be just a bit more tenacious, just a bit more creative, and just a bit more willing to break the rules to survive. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the galaxy would never be the same again,